To that point, you say...
Right. So he thought that I was just a no-name comedian and that he could take this joke and nobody would know.
Right.
The issue was that I had already done this particular joke on BET's Comic View twice.
Right.
It had done so well on BET's Comic View that they had made it part of the commercial. So part of the commercial of make sure you tune in to BET was you seeing me doing this joke.
Right.
And this joke is one of those jokes in comedy where you set it up and it takes a little longer to set it up, takes about 3 minutes, but then you're just hitting them with jokes after that because you don't have to set it up.
Right.
Mark Curry had already helped me work on this joke because I thought it was good because I was getting a standing ovation on it. He had me go back in the lab and help me craft it to be an even more powerful joke. So this is not just a random joke. This is my very best joke, and it's my last joke, and it's my closing joke.
Okay.
1998, I'm doing this joke. It's on Comic View. Cedric comes to the Comedy Store. He watches me in the audience. He comes backstage. He tells me what a great job I did and how much he loves the joke. 2 years later, he's doing that as his last joke on the Kings of Comedy. And he's doing it verbatim. He's just changed my car into a spaceship. Him and Steve had already apologized for me, so I gave him a pass for a decade. Why would you sit here and be like, I saw Katt 30 times, and Katt didn't do, as I stand before you, Shannon. I would have bust Cedric's stomach. There was nothing that would have kept me from one of these in that patch right there. Like, are you kidding me? Why would you downplay me like that? Why did I give you a pass if you were just gonna lie? And so that's what I'm saying. Like, they're all a group. Cedric, Steve, Ricky, they've been a group. Everybody knows that. They've been aligned. And there are these alliances in comedy. And if you stand against them, then they sometimes have a problem. But we don't let that change the content because that's all you know me for, is that I'm quite likely to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Can you believe we're this deep into the NFL season? We got to make every second count. With DraftKings Sportsbook, you can make the most out of every game day. Bet on your favorite teams for a shot at winning big bucks. New customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting $5 on any matchup. Get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the app now. Use code Shannon. New customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on the NFL. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code Shannon. The crown is yours.
Let's get to your upbringing. Born in Cincinnati, Ohio, raised in Dayton, Ohio. What was Katt Williams' upbringing like? Your parents were Jehovah's Witness. You were a prodigy. You were brilliant. You talked to me that you got accepted to college at 7 years of age. You could read fluently at 3 years of age. So having that kind of knowledge, having that kind of prodigy, what was your upbringing? How was it? How was life as Katt Williams coming up?
I was often confused because I knew things and I wasn't sure how I knew them. I knew things that I felt like I don't have a reason that I know this, but I love to read. I was voracious because they told me when I was young that knowledge was powerful. That knowledge was power, and I had studied powerful people, and I really believed that. I immediately, my next project was to read the whole encyclopedia set. So when you're like 6, 7 years old, you read the whole encyclopedia set, you think you're one of the smartest people in the world,
right,
only to get out in the world and find out you don't know anything, you know? So it was a confusing time, but yeah, I had a childhood. I was grown, but I at 5 years old, I was in front of 10,000 people giving a performance with a full suit and tie on. You know what I mean? So yeah. It came full circle for my life. I knew that the applause and the giving of information and laughs and truth to people somehow benefited them and also benefited you. And yeah, so when they would ask me what I wanted to be, everything that I would say that I wanted to be was something that didn't exist. And they would never give me credit for it because I needed to say a doctor or a lawyer, but that's not what I wanted to be.
So your parents weren't as supportive as you would have hoped because you were wanting to be things when you got older that they had no knowledge of or it didn't exist at the time?
No, it wasn't that. It was, I'm saying I'm almost 100 years old right now, but if we go outside right now, I can run a 4.340 or sub. I can do a 4.16 if I'm
Oh, there's
short.
Jimmy John's across the street. We can order a sub.
But
oh, you've been on the submarine. That what you sub?
So back then it was even greater. So you got this guy that all the coaches want to play.
Man, Katt, don't do that.
Hold on, because I'm 5'5" in the 5th grade. I've been this size my whole life. Like, there was a portion of school where I was one of the big dudes. Like, as soon as everybody caught their growth spurt, I was out of there. But I'm saying I was a competitive individual. My father was an athlete.
I can see that.
Like, no, I've been 145 pounds my whole career. That's why I never bothered when they said, your Katt's on drugs. I knew, how you gonna prove that? My body is a temple.
I've been the same size since I was 10.
Like, what do you? Yeah, like I haven't changed off this pivot foot. This has always been who I was before stand up or anything. But it was an interesting childhood. I appreciate my parents, even though I couldn't live within the religious frameworks of what they had set up. But that was more not wanting to live a double life and not want to embarrass my family. You know what I mean?
Because I read where a form of punishment for you is that they would take books because you mentioned you were such a voracious reader. And a form of punishment was when they would take the books for them because you could read fluently. You told me how at like 3 or 4 years old you could read, not just a little child's book, but you could read.
Well, I'm saying when we go to Haiti to do missionary work, understand that my mother and my father, nobody that's there with us speaks French. And, it speaks Creole and reads French. So I'm in charge of everything, from the housing to the cars to the gardener. Like I'm saying, so I'm not just reading. I'm reading in multiple languages. Like
how old are you?
I'm probably reading 3,000 books a year. From the time that I'm 8 years old to the time that I'm 12. No fiction books at all. I'm only reading nonfiction.
You could drive. At 12, you received a full scholarship to the National Science Academy in Dayton, Ohio. But you failed, so you would become ineligible. Why didn't you want to take that opportunity?
I didn't see it as an opportunity. When I got in there, all the students were wearing lab coats, and it seemed very confined and restricted, and nobody seemed like they were having fun. It just seemed like everybody was smart. I didn't want that. That wasn't what I was signing up for at all. And plus, I thought that Jesus was my big homie. So you know how you get a story about a dude joined the gang and you get a big homie, right? Like at this particular point in my life, my thought is that the Bible is the greatest book that's ever been written.
Okay.
That it houses the truth, and that it gives you this story of Jesus, and that I'm supposed to be like him.
Okay.
So it's already in my head that as soon as I get 13, I'm leaving.
You at 13, you not only like, okay, Mom, I'm moving out. You moved from Ohio to Florida on your own. You weren't afraid. I mean, did you?
Hold on.
So what were you going to do when you got to Florida?
Don't say I wasn't afraid. There's no such thing as a human being of not being afraid.
Okay.
There are certain human beings that understand that being afraid in no way stops you from doing what you got to do.
Okay.
So I was afraid, but I couldn't be that afraid because I knew what had happened with Jesus. I knew how it worked out. I knew that I wasn't in the wrong with how I was feeling, and I knew that I didn't have any bad intentions in it.
Right.
So I trusted God that it would work out.
Why Florida?
Because if you're raised in Ohio, the one thing on your list is, I'm gonna get away from snow, and I'm gonna get as far. I want to go. Tell me the place. I literally went to a truck stop and I asked all the truck drivers where they was going, and there was one guy going to California, and there was one guy going to Florida, and they told me how long it was gonna take, and so that's why I ended up in Miami, because.
How'd you get there? You caught a bus? Or...
No, I just told you. I was at the truck stop.
So you hitchhiked?
I didn't hitchhike. I got in the back of the dude's 18-wheeler, me and my Rottweiler puppy and my suitcase. Yeah, because I probably had $2,500 on me, like I was shoveling snow and cutting grass. Like, I always had pockets full of money.
When did you make the decision that you were gonna leave Ohio and go somewhere? And it ended up being Florida. So, but when did you know that you were leaving Dayton, Ohio, going to Florida?
In my father and I's last interaction, somebody could have not made it. And we both understood that was all bad.
What was the disagreement about?
If you say that my family is very religious, just say I'm not. So anything that I'm going to do is going to fall out of the guidelines.
Right.
But I'm not going to let you tell me what I'm going to be, especially if what you're saying is wrong. I can't condone wrong. And if I find out that something is wrong and I tell you it's wrong and you don't back me, that's what it is. Even
as a young child, you were willing to tell your parents that some of the things that you're saying doesn't coincide with what I've been reading in the Bible?
No. Very simply, don't try to disfellowship me for sexual acts and I'm a virgin. Sorry, God don't make mistakes. You don't get 2 times to fuck me over. What do you mean you went to God and he told you I was guilty? You just lied on God. So long. That's it. There's no conversation. Deuces. That's what it was.
That's when you made the decision. After that conversation right there, you say, "Nah, I can't live under this roof."
It wasn't a conversation. It was an altercation. In the altercation, I love my father. My father loved me. But we are 2 men at it. It'll never be the same again. You can't sleep comfortably around me. And I can't sleep comfortably around you.
How similar are you to your father?
I don't know. He's a great man. I'm saying,
because it seems like y'all butted heads.
Right, but I'm saying that generally happens with a father-son dynamic. It was just that religious relationships are always difficult in families. They always are.
Before it got to the point, because the dynamic, he's father, you're son. Before that dynamic and you step up on his level and you challenge him, you felt it was best for you to leave.
No. I'm not being challenged. I'm being beat to death.
Oh, he was abusive.
I didn't say that. I said we were in an altercation.
I see what you did there. I saw what you did there, Katt. Yeah. I saw what you did. You was in an altercation. You didn't say you lost. You said you was in an altercation.
I in no way gave you the impression that I won anything. I'm the one leaving. I'm out of bounds. This is his house.
Right.
Yeah. So as long as I'm going to be under his roof, there are certain things that I'm going to have to do.
Right.
And the only way that's going to change is either this or that. And I'm saying I had 2 younger brothers. Like, I'm not an unreasonable person. Like, I don't have any mental issues whatsoever, despite what they lead people to believe. You know, I make pretty good decisions.
Were you not? So how was their relationship with your father? Were you not afraid to leave them?
Well, I asked because it went all the way to the actual department. So it was actually going to be something. And when I asked them if they could just make sure that my brothers didn't get separated and what have you, they said they couldn't make those type of guarantees, that they weren't really sure what would happen if this went down. And so part of leaving was the hope that it would be okay for them, because none of them experienced what I experienced. I'm saying I'm the oldest. It's a lot riding on me. I'm supposed to at least religiously hold down the family's name at this household.
Right.
You know what I mean?
How much older are you than the baby and the knee baby?
Like a lot older. Like if I'm
12, 13.
Yeah, they're 5 and in Pampers.
Wow. You go to Florida. You tell the story. I've heard you were homeless, and somebody else told the story, said they were homeless, and you said they hijacked your story. Now I don't.
At 13, I shouldn't have to tell you I'm homeless. I'm in Miami, Florida. I have no family members in Florida. I couldn't buy a house if I wanted to. I couldn't get an apartment if I wanted to. I don't have a credit history. Like, this is not a stretch for me to say that I'm homeless. I'm living in a park in Coconut Grove. The park still exists to this day. For 8 hours a day, I would get up and go to the library and study for 8 hours a day to increase my education. And then I would leave out of there and go to the marina and steal car radios and make $2,000 almost daily. Like, I had a routine.
So you really could have played that Santa old thief and Santa Claus. You could have played it.
No, the Santa Claus wasn't a thief. The Santa Claus, you can't tell me. I read the script. Ricky Smiley told you he didn't read the script. The Santa Claus was a crackhead. He just had that outfit on. That's what I couldn't have played.
Okay.
Like, I couldn't have played a black guy that got raped in the bathroom.
Right. So at any point in time, did you like, man, I made a mistake, man. I should have stayed my butt in Ohio, man, because this is